All right, how many tried it with writing it as a complex fraction? How many tried factoring? Okay. Let's do complex fraction first, and then I'll do the factoring method. All right, if you write this as a complex fraction, what you're first going to want to do is rewrite everything so it fits that complex fraction form. So this negative power, we're going to write in the denominator and change it to positive. And so again, I'm writing everything as a fraction. It eliminates a lot of confusion when it comes time to invert and multiply. I'd strongly encourage you to do that. Okay, so now what we can do is work just in the numerator, and let's combine this into one single fraction. If we do, we need a LCD factor with 1 and with x squared minus 1 to the 1/2. Okay, so here's our LCD. When we take the first fraction's numerator and we multiply it by the missing LCD factor, what is the LCD factor missing from this fraction's denominator? X squared minus 1 to the 1/2. So what are we going to do with the powers? Add them. 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. So I turn this into a 1. Minus an x squared times what LCD factor is missing from that second fraction? Nothing. So there's my numerator. I can simplify. X squared minus x squared leaves me with a negative 1 over x squared minus 1 to the 1/2. And now instead of dividing by this quantity, I'm going to invert and multiply. So I'm going to multiply by 1 over x squared minus 1. And so my final answer, when I multiply across the top, negative 1. Along the bottom, I have my common factor of x squared minus 1. So what am I going to do with these powers? 1/2 plus 1 is 3/2. Okay, so you get your solution. Not too bad? Okay. Let's see if we solve this by factoring. If we wanted to use the factoring method, what you would do is, you would imagine you have two groups of factors separated by a minus. Okay. In those, what factor is common to both those groups? X squared minus 1. You just need to look at the base. And then you choose which of the powers is smallest. Furthest to the left on a number line, 1/2 or negative 1/2? Negative 1/2. So then what's going to remain will have the same form as the original, one group minus another group. And so when we take this out, we remove a power of minus 1/2, giving us x squared minus 1. And in the second group, remove a power of minus 1/2. Again, add the opposite on those. So it takes out this whole factor, leaving an x squared. And when we simplify this, what you see is that x squareds cancel. This factor gets moved into the denominator. So it becomes an x squared minus 1 to the 1/2. Change the sign to positive when we move it to the denominator. And if you do that, what you see is negative 1 across the numerator, a common base of x squared minus 1 in the denominator. When you multiply two numbers with the same base, you add their powers. 1/2 plus 1 gives you 3/2. Okay. So either way, it winds up being, again, just very similar to what we've done in this last few sections.